Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl. I'm a creative entrepreneur embracing every aspect of life with artistic intention. Join me as I share the way I live and all the tips and tricks along the way. Allow me to inspire you to do the same. Please like, share, or comment on my videos. I'd love to hear from you. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be first to know when there's something new. In addition to one skein of yarn, you're also going to need a set of knitting needles, circular knitting needles, to make this shawl. And at the very end, you're going to need one extra knitting needle. I'm using a double point. Use whatever you like. You're just going to need one extra one for when we bind off a couple of stitches. For this demonstration, I've cast on 25 stitches and just done a couple of rows so that we had some live stitches to work with. When you are making the shawl, you'll have live stitches because you'll have the last row of your shawl to work on. Whatever you do, whether it's this shawl, a modified version of this shawl, or to use this edging on anything else you'd like to make, all you need to do is make sure you have a multiple of 5 stitches and you'll come out with a perfect edge of these gorgeous scallops. And so I've done 2 of them already. I'm going to show you how we start a third scallop. We start the row with a yarn over, which means if we're knitting, it means just putting the yarn in front of your needle before you get started. So I move the yarn to the front so that we're wrapping it and creating an extra wrap when we knit the first stitch. Then on the second stitch, we're going to knit into the front and back. So we're going to knit into the front, and before we drop that loop, we're going to knit into the back as well. Okay, we're going to do a double yarn over, and we're going to knit the last stitch. Now what this means is that we have 6 stitches on our needle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. That double yarn over is going to count as only 1 stitch, and I'll show you what I mean in the next row, and 6. So we'll turn our work now and work row 2 of the pattern. We'll move the yarn to the back because we're knitting, and we're going to wrap twice for a double yarn over. We're going to knit 2 together, which with the first stitch and the first loop of the double yarn over, and we're going to drop the second wrap of the double yarn over off our needles, and then we're going to knit the last 4 stitches. Okay, we had our 1 setup row, then we had row 2. Now row 2 is what we're going to complete or repeat until we have enough rows to create our strip. So we're going to yarn over twice, which what I'm doing now is repeating the last row we did. Yarn over twice, knit 2 together, and knit 4. Only now the double yarn over is at the end of the row, so we're going to knit the double yarn over and drop the extra loop off. So then actually this is the row that we'll now repeat until we have enough loops. What we're doing is creating 10 loops of these exaggerated loops on the outside, which means we're doing 20 rows. So we're at 3 rows now. We're going to yarn over twice, knit 2 together, knit 4, dropping that second yarn over off the needle. So we're just going to repeat this until we have enough rows. Yarn over twice, knit 2 together, knit 4, dropping the second wrap of the double yarn over. Okay, so go ahead and continue doing this until we have 20 rows, and I'll show you the incredible way we transform this strip into a scallop. Okay, so now we want to check and make sure we have the right number of loops to move on here. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Okay, we now have 10 loops on either side of our strip, or a total of 20 rows. And you want to make sure that you're, at this point, you're ending a row facing the live shawl stitches or the live stitches that need binding off, and not facing the finished scallops. So we are facing in that direction, and this is the point where I want to pick up my extra needle, and I'm going to not pick up and knit, but just pick up the loops on that side edge of the strip. Okay, so we have our stitches picked up. And now with our right hand needle, we're going to pick them up and over, like the second from the right, we're going to pick it up and over the stitch all the way, or the loop all the way over on the right hand side of that needle, and then pick the next one up and over that outside stitch. And you want to do that until you've picked up and dropped over and off the needle all of those loops on your extra needle. Okay, so now we're going to slip that last loop to our right hand knitting needle and pick up and over and off with our last stitch on our strip. So now we're back to a total of 6 stitches. Okay, we now have our stitches facing the correct direction. You want to make sure that the next live stitches are facing on the tip of this needle, and that's just the beauty of having the extra needle. If you need to readjust things to get them facing the right way, that's fine. We now have our strip stitches cinched together in the middle. We have our 6 stitches from the strip ready to go, and we're now going to hold them together with the live stitches from the shawl edge, or the stitches that still need to be bound off, and we're going to do a 3 needle bind off. But what we're going to do that's a little bit different here is that we're not binding off a 3 needle bind off 1 to 1. Normally it would be 1 stitch from the live shawl and 1 stitch from the edge. This time we're going to do 2 stitches from the strip or the scallop and 1 of the live stitches from the shawl edge. So we picked up 2 here, 1 here, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops and slide those stitches off of the respective needles. 2 in the front, 1 in the back. So we now have those 3 stitches knit together. We're now going to pick up 2 from the front again and 1 from the back. So 2 from the scallop strip and 1 from the live shawl. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 of those stitches, and then slide them all off the respective needles. So now we have 2 knit stitches on our new needle, and now we're going to do the bind off portion, which is to pick up that first stitch up, over, and off the needle over the second stitch. Okay, so now we'll pick up the last 2 stitches on the front needle with the next stitch on the back needle, knit all 3 of those together, slide those stitches off their respective needles, slip that stitch up and over and off for the next bind off, and then we're going to slide that stitch back to the left hand needle, because that stitch will now be the beginning of the next repeat of creating this beautiful scalloped edge. It takes 5 stitches to do each one of these scallops. It takes 10 rows of the strip and 3 needle bind off to finish it all up. The link to the shawl pattern, here I'll show you what it looks like on the shawl version. Now this is a worsted weight yarn that I used for the video, but then here's the actual shawl done in a fingering weight yarn for a really lacy, beautiful look. And that's how it looks on there. The link to the pattern and yarn information is at the bottom of the video description.